Okay, guys, so how soon should you expect to see your first dollars coming in from this business model? If you started today, you went all in on this business model today, and let's say you did 40 to 60 to 80, whatever, maybe you're doing it full time, maybe you're doing it part time. How soon can you expect to see your first deal or see your first money coming in? I'm going to address that question today. It's going to be a little bit difficult because there's so many different factors and there's so many different variables, but I'm going to try to give you the most conservative answer and expectations that I possibly can. I'm not one of those people that's going to tell you, hey, if you come in, you jump into my program or you jump into somebody else's program, you start doing this, that you're just going to make money in the first week. You're going to make money in the first month or the first 3 months or 6 months. However, people have done that. That's the interesting part, and that's what makes this question so difficult to answer. But I'm going to answer it with addressing as many variables as possible. I want to start by saying, personally for me, in 2016, I heard about this business model. I heard a podcast. The model sounded interesting. It reminded me of, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like it has for many of you. And I thought to myself, well, I can go and, start YouTubing and doing all this stuff and trying it on my own, or I can go buy a program. And it just made sense to me. Go spend the money, go buy the program. And so I bought the program and I followed it to a T. And for me, that program taught me the slow method, right? You pick the niche, you pick the city, you build the website, you do the content, you wait, and it ranks. I got lucky because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know city selection that well or niche selection. And I got lucky and I chose a city and a niche that happened to work. And I'm not sure if I had chose a different one and it hadn't worked as quickly, if I would have been as excited, but it worked. Probably 3 months later in that ballpark, maybe it was like 75 days, rather quickly, my website started to bring in a couple leads. And I didn't know what to do. I remember getting my first lead. I was ironically in church and I got this call and I was just completely baffled. I'm like, there's no way, someone's punking me. No way did that work. Well, I went out in the hall, I took the lead, and I went to Google and I had to know homework on, who am I going to call? Which business owners are going to be a good fit? And I just found the very first person on Google, which makes no sense now, right? Because that person was probably fat and happy. And I called that person and their name was Brandon. I still remember Brandon. I called Brandon and I like, hey, I got this lead, completely crappy pitch. Literally, I'm in the hall at church and I sent him a lead. And I'm like, boom. Anyway, that one didn't work out. Ended up going to the next guy. That one did work out. I got a check for, I think it was either $600 or $750. I think it was $600. And it was actual physical checkout because it was in the town I was living at the time, Huntsville, Alabama. And I went and got that check. And I remember my mind was just blown. So for me, my first deal took me like 90 days. Okay. And I was doing it the slow way. If you are somebody that wants to pick the city, pick the niche, do the SEO, build the site, blah, 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 blah. If you can get a deal in 90 days, I want to send you a gift because that is going to be very, very, very difficult to even get leads coming in at that point, much less go and sell it. Okay. If I was being very conservative, if you pick the right city, the right niche, then what I mean by that is it's not super competitive. There's volume. You're going to rank fairly quickly and there's hungry business owners. I would expect this to take 6 to 9 months to get your first deal because it's going to take 6 months to get consistent leads, 4 to 6 months to get consistent leads. Then you're going to have to go through this trial period. It's going to take time. Maybe you could be aggressively say 6 months. Okay. Now, if you're doing rent, then rank, right? And if you don't know what that is, go just watch a few of my videos. You're going to know what I'm talking about. We flip the model. We put up the landing page. Instead of waiting for the website to rank, we put up a landing page. We run paid traffic to the landing page. We get phone calls coming in today, tomorrow, this week. We use those phone calls to close the deal. And then we do everything on the back end, right? We flip the entire model. That just speeds things up tremendously. Even then, guys, there are so many variables, right? Did you pick the right city and the right niche? Did you pick the right city and the niche during the right time of year? Did you pick the right city and the right niche and there's hungry business owners? And there's so many different things. But what I will tell you is I have seen people come into my program and can only speak on this because it's my program and I've seen what's happened. I've seen somebody come in and in their first week land a deal. Okay. Literally from the day that they signed up till the day they got their first deal, 1 week. Now, the stars had to align perfectly. If they chose the right city and the right niche, but the weather had been wrong. They might not have got enough leads, and then they wouldn't have got the deal, right? Or it would have been the next week, or they would have maybe they sent it to the wrong business owner, and they had to go to 2, 3, 4 business. There's so many different factors. So I honestly, to answer this question, I would say that's the wrong question to ask. That is the exact wrong question to ask. What I would say to you guys is, and I've mentioned this on previous videos, instead of saying, hey, how fast can I get my first deal? Or if I don't get my first deal by this, then, I quit or I do this. Change the mentality. Yes, have that urgency. That, you always want to have urgency. Let's get this done today. I love that. And that's how I operate. But in my mind, I'm patient enough that if it takes me forever, I'm okay. And there's this quote, and I think I've shared this on videos before, but it says something to the extent of, do not fear the work that has no end. Do not fear the work that has no end. Be okay if this takes forever. Be okay saying, hey, this is the model that I'm going to use. It checks all the boxes. I've seen all these, these success stories. That person's no better than me. He or she or whatever, they're no better than me. So if they can do it, I can do it. And yes, I want to get a deal in a month, or I want to get to 10K by 6 months, or whatever the case is, or by a year. However, if I'm not there, and as long as I'm putting in the work and I'm doing the reps and I'm doing everything I can, I'm okay, and I will do this until it happens. Not until a specific date, but until it happens. So guys, I have seen people get deals within a week. I've seen them get deals within 2 weeks. I've seen people get deals within, there's one person in our program. Now, this person came to the table. They were in another program. They had a bunch of websites. They didn't know how to sell, because that's the majority of people that are in other programs. They have a bunch, they have 50, 20, 30, 100 websites producing leads, and they don't know how to sell them because they don't have the scripts, and they don't know how to call, and they don't know all these little tactics that we train on. And I saw one person come in and land, I think it was 7 deals in 28 days is what it was. This is a female. I'll leave her name out of it just for the sake of it. But if you go to my Facebook group, you could easily find out who this is. 7 deals, I believe it was, within 28 days. Now, she already had websites that were ranking and all this different stuff. But guys, I think it's the wrong question, okay? What I would tell you is that if you look at this compared to any other business model, if you look at this compared to a franchise, right? How long does it take you to break even on your startup costs, on your build out of your warehouse or your storefront? Whatever the case is, even if you got your first deal within 6 months, right? Based on how much you're actually putting into this and how much margin is there, it is ridiculous. And the problem is we compare this, we see these posts, or we see people online that I made 10K in 90 days. And all of a sudden that's the expectation, or that's like, if we don't hit that, then this doesn't work. And that's the wrong mentality. So guys, I think the question is flawed. I think what you should say instead of saying, how fast can I get my first deal? You should say, what can I get to in 5 years? What can I be? What can I be at revenue wise and profit wise in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years? Because I am here and I am here to stay. And if that guy Nick, that he can barely speak English and he says niche instead of niche, if he can do it, man, I can sure do it. That's the question that you should be asking. That's the mentality you should go into. And if you have that mentality, guys, you are going to succeed. If you don't, then it's a roll of dice, man. So that is my answer to how fast can you expect an ROI? How fast can you expect money to come in? It really just depends. Change the question, and I'll see you inside.